Hey guys, so as I promised, I'm going to keep reading my book to you, Believe, and carry on. Today I decided to kind of kill two birds with one stone, so we did the test drive for you, so I'm going to try and save some time and read off from where we left off last time and here while we've still got some daylight left, so it'll hopefully get you the best of both. So we left it off last time. If just give you a quick recap. So Joseph was fighting for the life of his younger sister. He was surrounded by two bigger opponents who were also fighting for their own freedom. So it was a sort of life and death struggle. As long as he could stay alive, his sister would stay alive. His opponents were fighting for their own lives and also for their freedom as well. So if we continue, page 3, just before I left off, Joseph sort of reminisced about the time when he, just a few days ago, he was stood safely in the presence of his family and friends when he married his childhood sweetheart Grace, and how did he end up in this horrible situation just in a matter of days. So here goes. I had loved Grace since I was too young to remember, maybe since we were both around 6 years of age. Grace and Joseph were inseparable, everyone used to say, from playing in the woods to carrying out our chores, and even while praying in the few secret remaining prayer houses still left, we were destined to be together. Our love had remained unbreakable and endured hostility from our parents and objecting community elders alike, as they constantly kept reminding us, no matter how innocent and pure our love for each other was, it was doomed from the very start, because of one simple yet cruel twist of fate. We were both firstborn children, and in the time we live today, all firstborn children became the property of the state empire as soon as they reached their 17th year of life. Tomorrow the state troops will come and gather all the firstborn children from our slum towns, including the both of us, and take us away. We will never see our families again. It was a price every family had to pay for the crime of believing in God and having the courage to keep faith. Generations before us had paid this price, and so would we, because we were believers. Our forefathers were before us, we believed in God, in His prophets and scriptures, in heaven and hell. In the old days, we were split into nations and tribes, calling ourselves different names. But this was the new age, and in this time the old religions were abolished and blamed for being the cause of war, famine, division and hatred. All the sacred places of worship were destroyed, and all believers of religion were persecuted, imprisoned and exiled, until we simply came to be known as one mass of ethnically diverse people, known simply as the believers. We still carried out our prayers and held on to our beliefs hidden deep in our hearts, but we were ruled under the iron fist of the state, and the state had a new religion for a new age. A sea of people had already converted to the new religion and became known as the purists, pure from religion. The new religion began with the acquisition of limitless wealth and power, and was quickly hailed as the savior of humanity, a bright shining beacon of light which removed the seeds of discord from all men's hearts, and instead brought unity, prosperity, health and peace, which had eluded us for so long. Of course, that was just one side of the story, a story that began with a single event changing the course of our history, the assassination of the renowned scientist R.T.L. Jensen. It was he who was primarily responsible for the invention of limitless power through continuous nuclear fusion, a constantly renewable supply of energy which eradicated world hunger. Machines began to run endlessly without the need for refueling for years, providing infinite amounts of food yields, which meant more money for the state, who then began to withhold precious food and medicine reserves for only the ruling elite and their following purest believers of the new religion. It was a simple and effective way of waging a silent war: convert to the new religion and renounce all previous faiths, or slowly starve to death. As usual, our children and the elderly were the first to die of hunger and malnutrition-related disease. A believer by the name of Elias watched his children slowly starve to death, and in revenge he stole one of the elite state guards' uniforms and managed to infiltrate their security. When he came face to face with R.T.L. Jensen, he simply said one thing: "This isn't for God, it's for starving my children to death." He pulled the trigger and shot Jensen where he stood. Of course, they never gave Elias a trial. His body received more bullets than could be counted as they executed him on the spot. As expected, brutal retribution followed against all the believers. As the purists tore down and burned all places of worship, nothing was left to stand. Beatings and killings of believers were commonplace. as the state showed no restraint and wanted to set an example that would instill fear in the believers for generations to come. Inevitably, there was a backlash from the believers as all faiths came together. What followed was a global holy war. We were outnumbered and, more importantly, outgunned. But what we lacked in numbers, we made up for in courage, dignity, and selflessness. Thousands of battalions and regiments defected to fight alongside believing men and women. We all sacrificed everything we could. We knew we were fighting for our very survival. Starving and heavily outgunned, we made our stand. We fought courageously to the very end, but we were no match for the might of the ruling elite's war machine. We fell and lost our holy war, lost our chance for freedom. And if we leave it there for today, that's page 5, so we'll pick up again very soon. Hope you're enjoying it so far. Thank you so much for bearing with me. Really appreciate your support, guys, and we'll catch up soon. Thank you.